Hey everyone! In this video, we're going to build a beautiful glassmorphism login form using pure HTML, CSS, and a bit of JavaScript. It looks modern, clean, and animated, perfect for any landing page. We'll include smooth fade-in effects, icon-enhanced inputs, and a sleek pop-up message on login. Plus, everything is fully responsive and beginner-friendly. If you're learning front-end or just want to improve your UI skills, this project is a great place to start. Let's jump right in. So here's our basic HTML setup. We've linked the style.css file and imported the inter font from Google Fonts. Feel free to use any font you like. We've also linked our script.js file at the bottom of the body, which we'll use later to handle form behavior and animation triggers. Let's quickly go through the structure. We've got a div with the class login card, which is our main glassmorphic card. Inside, there's an H1 that says Welcome User and an H2 for the subheading. Then we have a form with an email input field with a label, a little email icon using a span, and some placeholder text. A password input field in the same format. Below that, a Remember Me checkbox with a label. A login button to submit the form. And a links section for Forgot Password and Sign Up. At the very bottom, we've added a div with the class pop-up that will show a success message after the form is submitted. Use Universal Selector to remove all default margins and paddings from elements and set box sizing to border box, which makes layout sizing more predictable. Give background color to login card and a fixed width as well. Pop-up, absolute and opacity 0. We'll work on it later. Next up, the body. We're setting a beautiful background image using the background. We use MI height 100 dVH to make sure the body always takes up the full vertical height of the screen, even on smaller devices. Set background image as well. Let's set to No Repeat, centered both vertically and horizontally, and stretch to cover the entire viewport with background size cover. Now to center our login card both vertically and horizontally, apply Flexbox on the body. And for the font, I'm using Inter, but you can replace it with any font you like. Lastly, we set Overflow Auto in case the content ever overflows on very small screens. Login card. Give some padding so that content inside has enough space. Border radius for softens corners. Now I want OnLoad to animate my card. We set its starting opacity to 0 and slide it down by 30 pixels so it starts hidden and slightly off screen. To animate it in, we add a new class called Animate. Inside it, animation give name and values. Keyframe for our fade slide in. It fades the card in and brings it back to its original position. Now, we need to trigger that animation when the page loads. For that, we add a quick JavaScript snippet. This waits until the page is fully loaded, grabs the login card by its ID, and adds the animate class, triggering our smooth fade-in effect. And just like that, when we refresh the page, the login form slides into view beautifully. Now, let's move on to styling the content inside the login card. We begin by styling the greeting message, which has a class of wave. We set the font size to make it bold and readable, center align it, and give it some spacing underneath. Next, we style the subheading as well. It's intentionally light and subtle to complement the boldness of the welcome message. The font weight 100 keeps it soft and elegant. Now, let's move into the form fields. First, we style all label elements. We give it a small font size and a light color to match the aesthetic. The margin adds space above and below, and we use display block to make sure the label sits on its own line above the input. Input field. Each input field sits inside a container with the .input field class. This layout allows us to place icons and inputs side by side using Flexbox. The translucent background gives it that glassy look. We also round the corners and add a soft border with a smooth transition when the field is focused. Now, for the actual input fields inside, we remove the default input styles. And make the background transparent so it blends with the glassmorphism effect. And we add a little margin left for spacing. Flex 1 ensures the input takes up the remaining space beside the icon. We add a focus effect to highlight the field when clicked. This gives users feedback when they're typing. Let's move to the Remember Me checkbox section. Flexbox keeps the checkbox and label aligned horizontally. With some spacing between them using gap. Placeholder, and for the placeholder text, give color. This makes the placeholder visible and consistent with our soft theme. And to make the checkbox align visually with the text, we nudge it down slightly. Now, for the button, this is what users click to log in. It spans the full width of the form. Has rounded corners, and a bold purple background. The hover effect adds a nice touch. This subtle color shift helps indicate interactivity. Finally, we style the links at the bottom of the form. Text center and margin top. Color, text decoration none, and font size for each anchor tag inside. when you hover over a link, it underlines a classic web interaction. The paragraph inside .links is styled too. This gives it a softer tone to subtly guide the user toward alternative actions, like creating an account. And that wraps up the entire structure and styling for our form content. All right, now let's take our UI to the next level. It's time to add the glassmorphism effect to the login card. Go back to login card. Give it a semi-transparent white background using RGBA. Then we apply a blur with backdrop filter, which gives that dreamy frosted glass look. A soft box shadow. Finally, we add a subtle white border to reinforce the glass effect. This combination creates that beautiful, modern glass UI that's so popular right now. Now let's style the pop-up message, the one that appears when the user submits the form. We give it a bold purple background so it really stands out. And white text for contrast. Notice this line, pointer events none. This makes sure the pop-up doesn't accidentally block user interactions. For example, clicking behind it or resubmitting the form. But when we want to show the pop-up, we'll toggle a class called Show. Here we set opacity 1 to make it visible, and pointer events auto to allow interaction. Now that we've styled everything, let's add some interactivity using JavaScript. We want to show a pop-up message when the user submits the form, and also reset the animation on the login card, so it can smoothly replay if they submit again. Let's break it down step by step. We start by grabbing the form element and attaching a submit event listener to it. We're using getElementById, login form, so make sure your form has that ID. Then we listen for the submit event and use prevent default to stop the form from actually reloading the page. Next, we grab the inputs we need: email, password, checkbox, login card. We'll use these to read the form values. We read the input values and use trim to remove any accidental spaces. Now we check if both email and password are filled in. If both fields have values, we grab the pop-up and add the class show to it. This will trigger the styles we wrote earlier, making the pop-up fade in. After showing the pop-up, we clear the form fields. Email and password are reset to empty. Now comes a cool trick. Let's say the user clicks submit again. We want the card animation to replay each time, right? Here's what's happening. We remove the animate class to reset it. Then we force a reflow using void login card.offsetWidth. This tells the browser to recalculate layout. And then we re-add the class, which triggers the animation again. All of this happens after a 200 millisecond delay, just to let things breathe. Finally, we want to hide the pop-up message after a short delay. So after 2 seconds, the show class is removed, and the pop-up fades away smoothly. Let's check if it's working. Yes, it's working, but we need to add some styles to pop-up. Place it at bottom. Give some padding. rounded border, transition all, and box shadow. Now let's check again how it's look. Great. Lastly, add margin to login card as well. We just built a modern glassmorphism login form, complete with beautiful UI, smooth animations, and an interactive pop-up message, all using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, all built from scratch. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more front-end tutorials, and drop a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.